Okay. Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Nur Nazmi Afiq Umar Yusof. I will present for the basic statistical sampling for group 2. For group members, first is Muhammad Nur Razin bin Hayadin, Muhammad Hanafi Adli bin Ahmad Sobri, and me, Muhammad Nur Nazmi Afiq bin Umar Yusof. For the introduction, sampling is a statistical method that involves the selection of a single observation and allow us to make statistical inferences about a population. We assume that samples are selected from the population and that sample and name means are equivalent in sampling. A population can be described as all of the elements and characteristics of the research that are being studied as a whole. Obtaining all of this data, however, is time consuming and costly. As a result, we use samples to draw conclusions about the population. The term statistical analysis refers to the use of quantitative data to investigate trends, patterns, and relationships. Scientists, government, business, and other organizations use it as a research tool. The purpose of statistical analysis is to find patterns. For example, a retailer might utilize statistical analysis to uncover trends in unstructured and semi-structured consumer data that can be leveraged to improve customer satisfaction and boost sales. For this activity, we use this formula to calculate the mean, deviation, average deviation, and standard deviation value. For table 4.1, that is the sampling table of all three testers, which is Muhammad Norazin, Muhammad Hanafi, and Nur Nazmi Afiq. The value for sample we take from the register value here and use the alphabet to make the value. So for Muhammad Norazin, the mean value is 68.3688. The average division value is 0.1149 and standard deviation is 0.1488. For Muhammad Hanafi, the mean value is 68.3285. Average deviation is 0.1265 and the standard deviation is 0.1789. And for Nur Nazmi Afiq, the mean value is 68.3083. The average deviation is 0.1368 and the standard deviation is 0.2692. I will pass to Razin to present for this sample.
Okay, I will continue for the sample. Okay, for this one is my sample. My sample is for the 68.0 is frequency is 1 and 68.3 the frequency is 8 and 68.4 the repeated is with 2 frequency and 68.5 is 4 and 68.7 is 1 and the histogram is the value from the table. So for Hanafi sample is 68.0 is frequency is 2, 68.3 and for the frequency is 8 and 68.5 the frequency is 3 and 68.7 the frequency is 1. That is the histogram for the Hanafi sample. And then for the Nazmi sample, 68.0 for the frequency 2 and 68.3 for the frequency 6, 68.4 for the 1 and 68.5 repeated as 3 frequency. And that is the histogram for Nazmi sample. And then I will continue for the table 4.2 is the average deviation and standard deviation of sample. For sample number 1, the average deviation is 0.1149 and the standard deviation is 0.1488. And for the sample number 2, for the average and standard deviation is the 0.1265 and 0.1789. And for the sample number 3, for the average deviation is 1.368 and for the standard deviation is 0.2692. And table number 4.3 is for the average deviation and standard deviation of sample that is nearest to zero. Uh, from the observation, we get the sample number one is the best sample because it's nearest to zero, that is 0.1149 and 0.1488. And for the second best is sample number two, and the worst is sample number three. Okay, I will pass to Hanafi.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I will be presenting for activity 2 for the question. Number 1, differentiate between the D and S. So from the result that we observe, the standard deviation is higher than the average deviation. Hence, the data does not demonstrate a significant difference. For question number 2, we need to discuss the result obtained for each D and S. So from the result obtained in table 4.1, we can suppose that the D value for all the sample is greater than S value. So we use the formula given to calculate all of the means value, deviation value, standard value, and deviation value. For question number 3, the question is give the overview on the selection of the best sample, the second best sample, and the worst sample. So in general, the finding we get the more accurate if the standard deviation and average deviation are closer to zero. So sample number 1 is the best sample. For sample number 2 is the second best sample, and sample number 3 is the poorest sample. So for question number 4, conclude the observation and finding from the statistical analysis of this exercise. In conclusion, we need to calculate the average deviation and standard deviation to find the difference between each sample of data and determine which sample is the best. For each distribution, resistance for each sample of data can be seen in the histogram graph. Next, I will be present for discussion. So to summarize, we need to discover the reading of all 26 of the 68 ohm resistor and are not fixed to 60 ohm reading during the lab session. This could be due to the multimeter being misled. Multimeter can be perform multiple calculation including voltage, current, resistance, and other depending on the multimeter complexity. Resistance is one of the most well-known limitation used to gauge among the estimation. However, the case may be the multimeter is not an excellent estimate tool. It may be encounter some unacceptable strong resistance from time to time. This could be caused by a number of issues, including low battery damage, leaks, incorrect test result, part disappointment, and blown fuse. However, due to the fabrication of the resistor, the, the reading is incorrect. So overall of the reading appear to be appropriate. So lastly, the conclusion for this lab session is the sample that we obtain in this experiment is which sample is the best on its average deviation. Each distribution resistance for each sample data can be seen in histograph. In addition, we have achieved the experiment goal. Okay, that's all from our group. Thank you.